Hello, and thank you for joining us on World Now. We begin in the United Kingdom, where Britain's Supreme Court has dealt Prime Minister Rishi Sunak a major blow by striking down the government's plan to send thousands of refugee claimants to Rwanda, where their cases will be adjudicated. In a unanimous decision released on Wednesday, five Supreme Court justices upheld an appeal court ruling that found the deal struck between Rwanda and Britain as unlawful because Rwanda could not be considered a safe third country. The ruling ends a protracted legal battle over an agreement with the government struck with Rwanda in April 2022. And under the deal, British officials planned to deport migrants arriving in small boats from France to the African country where their claims will be processed. The British government has been struggling for years to stop asylum seekers from Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and other Middle Eastern countries from making the dangerous journey across the English Channel. And more than 26,700 migrants have arrived so far this year, and dozens have also died.
There is a legal rule that refugees must not be returned to their countries of origin, either directly or indirectly, if their life or freedom would be threatened in that country. That rule is called the principle of non-refoulement. One of the consequences of the rule is that asylum seekers cannot be returned to their countries of origin without a proper consideration of their claims, since asylum seekers whose claims have not been properly considered could well be genuine refugees. And as I've explained, refugees must not be returned to their countries of origin.
Well, joining us live now to discuss the latest development is a global affairs analyst and economist, Gbenga Onifade. Joins us via Skype from the United Kingdom. Glad to have you join us on the World Now. The Rwanda scheme was the central plan of Sunak's immigration policy amid concerns about some voters about the numbers of asylum seekers arriving in the United Kingdom. What does the recent Supreme Court ruling spell for him as he prepares to face an election next year?
Yeah, first, good afternoon. Of course, it's a disappointment for Rishi Sunak. It's actually a disappointment. It's a bad day, considering the fact that one of the key proponents of this case, Braverman, she just literally just left the government just about 24 hours ago. Rishi Sunak had a big win with the markets going on, with inflation reduction. But at the same time, one of the other key pledges in this case, which is the asylum seekers application kind of reduction, of course, and at the same time, the key tag stop the boats. But unfortunately, it has been rejected by the government. And a few key things actually, by the courts, and the courts deem that yes, while Rwanda's actually accepted this in good faith, but at the same time, they do not think they're being genuine, and there is a risk that people will be facing the same treatment they've been met from where the country they're running away from. They will be facing the same thing in Rwanda. So it is not a great day for the government at this point. But at the same time, it's a big win for potential asylum seekers. And again, if I'm going to talk about this quickly, sorry, this is what Boris Johnson's. It was a deal he struck with Rwanda government in April 2022, just about last year, when they trying to reduce. I mean, because year on year the asylum claim has always been, it's just never gone down. I think it only went down once when David Cameron said he was going to reduce from the hundreds of thousands of numbers to thousands of numbers. It just dropped for a time then, and then since then it's just been climbing all over again. So it is a severe blow to Rishi Sunak.
Well, as an economist yourself, we're Africans. Let's also address the reason why, tens of thousands arrived the shores of the United Kingdom on boats without permission. We have some issues like this, such as porous borders, weak migration policies in Africa, which may be some of the reasons for this push-pull factor. Let's hear you.
Of course, we think, should I say, I mean, I'm old enough to say when, growing up, we've always had the situation of war, which is, something that's been prevalent in Africa. It's not as bad as it was right now. We still have the odd regional or local conflicts. But at the same time, I think majorly, which is one of the things the UK government is hoping to serve as a deterrent, is the fact that, you do have now people making money from these things. So you do have, gangsters, if you can call them, they are charging people extortionate amounts to put them on the boats. That's number one. Number two, you do also have again, what's it called? The inflation, which has affected the worldwide really generally, or the world over, while it's actually coming down in certain areas, but should we say mostly in Africa, it's still, I think, for example, if you talk about Nigeria, it's actually been climbing, rated at 30% inflation, which, of course, to the real people, things are just, a lot more. So you might say, a lot of these asylum seekers are what people call economic migrants. While, some of the cases are genuine, while some of them are not. But that's for the government to figure out. So that's what they're trying to deter. And, the claim is, okay, how about we put you to a neutral, we take you to a neutral state, you get fed, you get treated the same way we expect you to be treated, in a very humane condition, and then we'll process your asylum claim. But one thing you've got to understand is that I think from every, should I say, I think if you look at and of course, UK's complain about the infrastructure being stretched, schools, hospitals, places, etc., being, really been stretched, and people are complaining, which is one of the reasons why UK left the EU, so they can, they can make their own laws, or the United Kingdom can make its own laws. But again, I think UK, based on facts, is actually one of the lowest when it comes to asylum successful asylum granted in terms of compared to the rest of the EU. So that's number one. And then, of course, number two, again, I think there was a shocking statistic I saw somewhere about, should I say, from about 100,000 or so, maybe just about 3 being granted has been successful. So it's not great enough. So yeah, people are moving for myriad of reasons, but the treating this claim is actually taking forever. Number one, the rates of successful applications quite low. Number two, and then again, infrastructure has been met. So that the government's been pulled from all over the place in order to be able to deal with this. And people are taking on this dangerous journey, but the government's got to go with a humane way and say, well, we think you're putting your lives at risk. You're going on this boat which is not, suitable for a swimming pool, but then you're taking it through these rough seas, and you're going over 32 kilometers through the channel that divides that divides Africa and Europe.
Also, finally, before I let you go, the former Interior Minister, who has been replaced, Sule Breverman, took a hardline stance on immigration and regularly waded into so-called culture war issues, which we see to have divided the electorate ahead of the 2024 polls. Does this signify a positive or negative push right now for Sunak's government?
I, to be honest, in all ways, I think it's actually negative. From bringing back David Cameron, who was a former prime minister, he's built so much relationships, he's got the strength, he's got the experience, and of course the leadership presence as well. So people kind of see that as a desperate. As a desperate pose, really, from Rishi Sunak, because no matter what he does right now, he just can't put a foot right. He just constantly not being great with the opinion polls. It's not exactly the people generally want the Labour Prime Minister to win per se. But I think at this point, people are just saying anything but the Conservatives. That is number one. Again, number two, if you look at people, migrants are struggling to fit in. Some of them anyway, and then the country feels that they are trying their best, and of course try to unite everyone. So it's not a case of us versus them. Just make it a one United Kingdom. Again, the division's actually really been there, and in fact, sometimes you look at the British flags actually being claimed or hijacked by a certain people, and that's another situation right there. And so, with 5 pledges that the Prime Minister's made, and this is one of the core 5 pledges, we can say, one of them, halving inflation. We can say that probably just got met this morning, considering inflation stays relatively at this price, at this percentage. But the second thing is uniting people. But how could you unite? The people have called. The referendum came. The referendum said they wanted to leave. The EU, which is we've got the European Court of Human Rights, which UK was part of the founders in 1950. Now, if the UK leaves that, which is one of the things Rishi Sunak is actually pushing for, that he might just have to leave that, change the law in order to be able to meet this. Because if at the end of the day you're able to call for doctor's appointments, and instead of you having to come 3 months later, you're able to get these things in a couple of days or even maybe a week, that will be a win. And if that can sieve through to the populace, I think that would be a big win for the Conservatives. So right now, the Conservative people are feeling like, based on what you said about, Suella Braverman, for example, people are feeling that the Conservatives are moving way too far to the right. But majority of British people, they're quite considerate. They all do not support that extreme plan. But you've got to be able to pull out a rabbit from your sleeves and just find a solution that doesn't seem too extreme, but at the same time we can both say it's a win for all parties. And right now, that is what the government is struggling with.
All right. Global Affairs Analyst Benga Onifade speaking to us live from the United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us on The World Now.
Thanks for having me.